That's strange. What are the odds that my boss that I took randomly would take me in front of a badminton venue?
That's like a $13,000 lens, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is expensive. That's what I'm saying. If people want to have nice pictures and not pay for it, then there's a problem. The balance.
The business model don't work.
I started an agency with a zero photography skill, so I'm just a human proof that you can do anything. Just dream big and go for what you want. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Average Not Average podcast. I'm your host, CK, and unfortunately, Victor couldn't join us today, but we're joined by someone who has truly shaped how the badminton world is seen, captured, and also remembered. You might not know who he is, but all the stakeholders do. And I can almost guarantee you that you've seen the photos coming out from his photo agency if you're a badminton fan. That's right. He's the founder of Badminton Photo, the official BWF photo agency for over 2 decades now, the founder of Solibad, a charity enabling badminton to be accessible to many of the underprivileged children around the world, and the founder of Badzine, the world's #1 badminton magazine, as well as also involved in many other companies and organizations. So he's a business powerhouse as well. He's also a globe-trotting journalist, photographer, storyteller, and above all, a believer in human kindness and impact. As a fellow photographer on the professional badminton circuit, I'm really excited to be able to delve into the conversations here, where we'll be talking about how Raphael first got involved in the badminton world, how he built multiple successful organizations and businesses within this space, and also what it really means to use your platform to be able to create change and purpose. This is none other than Raphael Sachetat. Welcome to the podcast, Raphael. We're really happy to have you here. So first, how are you doing?
Very good, and thanks for the very nice intro. I'm doing very well. A bit tired after a week of hard work in Istanbul, but all for the good things for France. As you've probably heard, the French team have won for the first time the European Championships. So yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's the first ever, right? I think it's been running for 10 editions, I believe. This team championships format. It was very emotional on court, on the scenes. I mean, as a Frenchman yourself, you must feel incredibly proud.
Yeah, I was proud. I felt sad for the Danes, whom, I've got some friends in the team as well. But they've won it 9 times in a row. I think it's about the time that they share a little bit of their success. And of course, to see this team who's been working so hard to produce this result, and it's an achievement for the French Badminton Association to be able to perform at that stage and deliver. They've done it in a junior team before, but this is the first time at the highest level in the senior tournament. So yeah, I'm happy for them. It's nice to see.
Yeah, I remember watching the interview live because the communications manager, Anders, he was interviewing Tom and Thomas on the court immediately after the match finished. And I remember one of the boys said, we really wanted this one so bad. And so hence I was going to full send all in. And they came up with that, and that looked like quite emotionally charged interview as well. I think there was a lot at stake. And I think you rightly mentioned, because I think French Badminton has, I think, invested so much into the sport since the Paris Olympics, and you can now see the fruits of that, having proper coaching and also strength and depth of coaching as well, not just the players, but also in terms of support team as well. They have the strength and conditioning, S&C, the whole stack. And now it is, everywhere I go, I hear that it is a really world-class facility, world-class team now, and clearly now it's challenging with the very best. I think Thomas Cup would be quite interesting.
It would be interesting. Yes, we've seen the hats, the groups, and France being in the second group at the 5th seeded spot. That would be quite interesting, I'm sure.
I think so too. I mean, and then also talking about French photo agency, Badminton Photo. You've got multiples, but then we're gonna start with Badminton Photo. You're a Frenchman, so your agency is also a French photography agency, aptly named Badminton Photo. How did this come about? Give us some stories. I mean, you have a lot of stories behind the scenes.
Right. Well, first of all, I started out as a reporter because my education is as a journalist. So I started out, actually, it's a funny story. I was starting in the in a reporting business for a few years and doing a lot of different types of reporting. And one day I was doing a report on the death row in California. Nothing to do with the sport. But after that interview with an inmate that had just been released after 23 years, a lady, she was released, and basically the state of California said that they had made a mistake after 23 years, where every day she was expecting to go to the electric chair. So that interview was quite a tough interview, and it was long, and so. After the interview, I just decided to take a bus, any bus. I just jumped in a bus, and that bus actually the last stop took me in front of a huge stadium, and I looked around, and then I saw a tiny badminton image, and I was a badminton player at the time, so I entered the venue, and then was the US Open. That was 1999, and I was like, wow, this is... that's strange. What are the odds that my bus that I took randomly would take me in front of a badminton venue? And I looked around, and then I saw some players who were playing amazingly. Some of the best players were there. And I asked for the media room, and there was none. There was no media room. There was no reporter, no photographer. I was like, okay, maybe this is, fate somehow. And I said, I'll stay the day, and then I'll come back tomorrow and see what's going on, and if I can send a report to the French magazine that was there at the time, France Badminton. And then it was the beginning of internet. We're talking about old ages here.
Yeah, the dot-com bubble, right? 1999.
Exactly. And then I sent an email to the IBF at the time, the International Badminton Federation in Cheltenham. And I got an answer a few hours later of Karen McCall, who was in charge of communication at the time. And she said, yeah, this is great. We're launching our website soon. So if you can send us a story about what's happening in the US, that's perfect. It's perfect timing. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I did send an article with a few interviews. And then she asked me if I could send a photo. And I didn't have any, of course, no smartphones at the time. So I borrowed the first digital camera from one of the hosts. It was with a floppy disk,
Wow.
You had to put
Wow.
It was 800,000 pixels, I think, and you could only take a picture of someone waiting for the serve because otherwise it would get blur. And that was it. That was the start of the photo career, so-called. But so what I did is the BWF said, this is great if we can have live coverage of events. Go for it. If you can travel, just go for it. So I started first by writing articles, and then I invested in a small plastic camera, and then a better one, and then a better one. And then a few years later, I started the agency, and the BWF was happy to, endorse it and work with us. So that's how it started with the bus. Had the bus gone anywhere else, I could be in Taekwondo or sumo or whatever, or baseball.
Wow. I think that's an amazing story, because I think I think we've both spoken about this story before, but then not this in depth. I knew that you were at the US Open, and that was your very first ever tournament, but I didn't realize that it was 1999, because I thought it was 2002 for some reason. And then it was just literally. So you were not a photojournalist. You were
No, not at all.
You were a reporting journalist, an editorial journalist.
I had no clue about photography.
Okay. Wow. Okay. This gives me a little bit more hope, because certainly I also, like yourself, did not come from a photography background, and then obviously now I'm shooting certain bits of photos on the side of the court.
Doing very well.
Well. I guess you can tell there's a long way to learn. There's a long way to go. But wow, okay. And then so obviously, yes, it was the IBF then, International Badminton Federation. I think BWF was formally chartered. I think, is it 2003 or is it 2002? Something like that. It was a few years later, no?
Something around that time, yes. Just before the Athens Olympics, so that must be in 2003, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then so from that side, how long did it take you to become the sole BWF accredited photo wire agency? I think actually it'll be interesting to actually go back a little bit to explain to people, what does a wire agency mean?
Well, basically is putting on the platform the images that the clients go and get themselves. The difference between a wire agency and freelance photographers, most of the time freelance photographers will send their images by email or by WeTransfer or whatever, and then the wire agency just puts it on a platform, and then the clients come and get it. And then we don't sell to the public, at the difference of other agencies, because we are very respectful of players' rights, image rights. So for us, we decided that we wouldn't sell to the public because we do editorial and we work with the sponsors and all the stakeholders of the BWF. But the platform is there, and the clients just go, and they have, of course, we've worked on the platform so that it's become a tool that is actually quite unique in the world of sport. There's no other sport that has that type of functionalities, and so we're proud of that. We've put a lot of work into it.
But and now, you developed the software in-house?
Yes, of course. We've started from scratch, and then we used a software at the beginning, but now we're doing it all on our own, and so it's really custom made for the needs of our clients, especially the BWF. Yes.
Yeah. I think just for the little bit more nerdier, data-centric people, I think the ability to negotiate and also sort and filter metadata, which is already locked into the photos that's been published onto the system, that's certainly I think only available at very, very high-end software houses. So, for example, I think massive wire agencies like Getty, they use those. But then I think outside of that level, you certainly do not see that at all. I think, and a lot of whatever you see online, like on the websites, like, so for example, like Wix or something, Squarespace, they have this photo ability, like photo studio ability for people to go on and download stuff, but they will never be able to allow metadata sorting or filtering, and which is what yours is absolutely amazing. But I think one thing that also people don't understand is that how accurate you guys are with the amount of volume of photos that goes up. And I think when we talk about photos as well, we also need to roll back a little bit, because your photos, the Badminton photos, are actually specifically for editorial. And what we mean by editorial is journalistic ones, and also like for reporting. So all the photos you see on the newspapers, on the news websites, and reporting sites, they are specifically designed and also taken for editorial purposes. I heard a quote: "No shuttle, no photo." Is that correct?
We try, and that's an agency believe that you need to have everything that characterize the sport, and badminton is characterized by the shuttlecock. So in 90% of our images, we keep the shuttlecock in. If there's no shuttlecock, unless it's a very acrobatic image or an emotional picture, that also is a good agency picture. But most of the time, we do receive a lot of requests from young journalists or photographers, and they send pictures without the shuttlecock. It's an action picture without the shuttlecock, and explaining to them, if there's no shuttlecock in the picture, it shouldn't be on our wire.
It's tough because we will go deeper into, for example, what makes a good photo in your opinion, and then what can people work on to get to that level. But then, so how did you become the official wire agency of BWF?
Well, because I was supplying their website with stories from basically all the major tournaments. There weren't as many at that time, thank God, but it was a lot of time on the tour. And then because I was sending them photos on a regular basis, we decided that it would be easier to start a platform. And then it was like a common goal to have a place where they could just go and grab the pictures they needed, rather than receiving them and then putting them on a hard drive, or it was difficult. So I basically told them, why don't we work together to do a platform that would be useful to you, but also to your stakeholders, partners, and that's how it started. They said, yeah, we'll work together, and then we want your photos to be useful to the players, to our sponsors, to the media at some point during COVID. So they found it obvious that we should work together and that we should become the official agency of the BWF.
Were you already so when you're traveling the tour at the very start, were you on a professional contract where, hey, Raphael, here's the budget, you make sure you're at every single one of these tournaments, go?
Kind of. Basically, I was paid at the time by articles, so I had to see budget my trips, and it was very funny at the beginning. It was there was hardly any money in the sport, so the pay was all right, but it was not enough to travel. So I would by checking online if people could host me for free near badminton venues, and I would go there and basically work long hours and try to make ends meet for the first 10 years. I'd say there was a bit of a struggle financially, not making any money, but I was passionate. The sport was great, the community, the players were so nice and welcoming, and of course I was basically the only journalist covering the sport. There were a lot of media in each different tournament, local media, but going from one tournament to the other, I was the only one, so I created nice relationships with the players, and that made my day. I basically worked for free, but I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, now I think looking at the tour, so obviously I don't go on the full tour, the full world tour, the world tour tournaments. I think the full list of them is about 30, 31. But yeah, so I certainly do not go to that many, not even close. But you can also you can feel that there's a now more consistent set of people showing up in terms of stakeholders, not necessarily only photographers, but you also have journalists, and you also have the federation team communication guys and girls, where they follow from the national federation, and then they go to each and all the major ones, really, all the Super 1000s, all the majors, the team events, Thomas and Uber Cups, Sudirman Cups, those clearly Olympics as well. It's very, very well covered, but Olympics is a completely separate beast. And then you have the 1000, 750, 500. So I guess just looking back from your 25 years, how do you think it has changed? Or do you think we can do more? How can we do more?
Well, it's just two different worlds between when I started and now. Now it's super professional presentation wise. It's one of the best presentation sport. I think it's they're really doing a great job. At the beginning, it was amateur. Like I said, US Open was one of the best tournaments. There was no media room. There was no interest whatsoever. Even though the US and North America is still not the best place to play badminton at the moment, but even in Asia, the tournaments were held, and it was only local people that were interested in it. It was not showcased the way it is now. So it was also nice because everything was easy. Accreditation wise, it was anybody could get accredited.
Not anymore.
On the contrary, not anymore. But that's it comes with the fame and getting more professional, which is also good because we need to limit number of people who access the venue. Otherwise, we can't work properly. But it's there are good things about back then, because like I said, it was super easy to access the players. It was just a family traveling from one spot to the other. Now there are more regulations, there are more security checks and stuff like that. But it's the sport is going in the right direction. The new circuit that the BWF has announced looks amazing. So I'm happy to see how the sport has gone, and hopefully it can be as fruitful as tennis in terms of sponsorship money, because we have a sport that is just it's crazy. It's a beautiful sport, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about operations a little bit, very, very quickly. So in terms of operations, so you need a team to actually do something like you do all the time. So currently, how many tournaments do you and your team go to each year?
About 40.
40. Wow.
Yeah, so we cover all the Super 300 and above, all the majors from BWF, so the World Championships, individual and team events. And then we have local tournaments. We are also covering some of the French tournaments with the French Federation. So altogether about 40, and we have about 15 freelance photographers. Some of them go on a regular basis to all the BWF events. So, they are the main photographers of the agency, and they're really great because they do work long hours and they produce amazing pictures. And I'm grateful to have that team with me. Of course, I couldn't be doing it on my own. First of all, I'm too old for this. But of course, it's good to have new eyes. We have young photographers who bring their own touch and their own emotions into the picture. We have, of course, the standard of quality, but I think it's also good to have different views, different angles, it's the storytelling you were mentioning earlier about telling the stories, and that's what agency pictures should be. It should be, telling stories, what's happening. If you see a good photo, that means what happened. The emotions, whatever has happened has to be in that picture. So in that regard, it's great to have all these new photographers, and they're very, very talented and hardworking.
New perspectives and new ways to tell a different kind of story, I guess, from a perspective. I think in terms of operations as well, I think I'm going to try and name drop a few. So obviously, clearly from your full-time team, I see Johan,
Michael,
yes,
yeah.
Eve
Eve
also
is in Canada, and Eve is one of the pillars of the agency, because and people don't know about this, but every single photo that goes on the wire is tagged with names, not only the players, the country of the player, but also everything that's on the image. So he manually adds words like rackets, like emotions, like aerial view, like umpire, and also name everybody who's on the picture, including umpires, referees, communication staff. You probably have your tag on the wire.
I have.
Yeah.
So I mean, I do use it regularly. So obviously for some of the work that we produce. So yeah, I do have the opportunity to go onto the Badminton Wire regularly. So I do have that in there. I think my name is also in there for some of the shots.
Of course.
Either as a person whose photo has been taken, but I think also I think working with BWF, I think we submitted a set clearly at that point in time. That was 2023. Just literally started shooting badminton photos. I was using a fairly basic camera in terms of that, I think. But some of the photos are in there, and then on the photographer, it said my name.
So
but then clearly it looks completely different to the rest of the photos that's in there. But I think people forget like the amount of work behind the scenes for post processing to be able to accurately tag, and also because this is an international sport, international names, foreign names to us. Those are difficult to get accurate and get right. And on the system, it's absolutely amazing and really easy to be able to use that. I think people forget how much post-processing work that needs to go in to be able to make that and keep up as well. Like, how many photos are on there at the moment?
I think it's something like 200,000 photos. So yeah, Yves is putting a lot of work. He's an archivist. That's his job. So he wants to be precise. So whenever he sees a name that's on tournament software that doesn't sound familiar, or he thinks there's a small mistake in it, he will actually check with the player or the person what the real name is, and he will put the right tag in the photo. So we are trying to be as accurate as possible, and basically this has become the Bible of the names in the sport, and we are keen on keeping it that way, because that's how the more precise you are, the better it is for the customers to be able to find the photos, the right photos.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also just talking about customers, who are your main customers? So obviously BWF is one of the key main customers. And then who else do you provide photos to? I'm assuming federations as well, because obviously we use the federation accounts for federation work. Right.
So mainly we work with the BWF and their stakeholders. So our clients are their clients, so federations, their sponsors. We also work with equipment manufacturers, always respecting the players' contract with them. So we will not provide images to any sponsors that have not a link or a contract with the players. Once again, this is also about educating players to protect their own rights, because a lot of people use image like, they see it on the internet, they pick it up, they use it, and then this is wrong. They need to respect the author's rights, so the photographer and the agency's rights, but also protect the players or the athletes' image rights, and that's very important. And so few players are aware of this, and we've seen in the past brands who thought one image was emotional, nice, and then they just pick it up and put it on their website and actually promoting their own brand with the player's image, and the player had not even given consent or isn't even aware of this. And that's something that we work on to make the players aware that they have their rights also. And and one of the reasons why we started an official photo agencies was also to help the players take care of their own image and protect them from having people use their image, and also protect our own images. So every time a new photographer comes into the agency, we take a lot of time to explain to them what they should do and what they should not do with the images, and this is how we try to make the sport more professional in our own way.
Yeah. Can you give us some examples of what should they do and what should they not do?
Who?
The photographers.
Photographers. Well,
Yes.
first of all, they cannot give the images if they work under Badminton Photo. They cannot just spread their work around. And then if they do want to do some business on the side, they have to make sure that the players agree, that we agree, and that the people who use the images are with a contract with the players who are on the image. But now, I mean, it's fine. Once you explain the basic rules, most of the time the people follow it. And photographers are not the main issue. I mean, it's the users.
Yes.
Clubs, for instance. I mean, I'm talking to French clubs all the time. They call me and they said, we've got a big fine from a lawyer in France because we used an image. And I'm like, it's not from us, because we contact the club directly. We try to explain to them that they can't do it and stuff. But all the other agencies, they don't do that. They just see an image that belongs to their stock of image, and then they just give it to a lawyer in the local country, and then the lawyer just sends a request for payment, and that's huge amount of monies. So it's and everybody needs to be aware that you can not just pick up a photo from the internet. It's costly. Believe me. A club in France just last week had to pay 4,000 euros just because they used a tiny picture of a badminton racket. It wasn't even a player. It was just a racket with a shuttlecock, a serve. And then, they had to pay 4,000 euros just as a fine to use a picture that was under copyright. So it's, be careful out there.
Yeah, I mean, so same for us. So we recently had a few copyright cases, and then obviously, so I had to send a cease and desist emails and letters. Yeah, so some of these are actually to badminton retailers, because obviously everybody is wanting to have a slightly different look and feel, depending on the e-commerce stores. And then so we had one fairly recently that were using photos from our teams and also ourselves, where they just screenshot what they saw online and then posted it onto their website. And it could just literally be that they're just not aware of copyright, and they've not been told, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. But I think anyways, in a professional world, where you got the photo from, you need to be able to tell who created it. And normally the creator is the photographer or the agency, the company that the photographer or the creator belongs to. So you need to reach out to them, have an agreement to say, hey, can we use your photos? You can come to an agreement, I guess, from that perspective in terms of financial value. Do we pay? Do we not pay? Whatever. Get it in writing, and then you're able to use that. I think because of how easy it is with social media and the amount of high quality stuff that's floating around, people just take it and use it.
Yeah, everybody does that, and a lot of times people say, okay, sorry, either we'll take it off or we'll put the credit. And I'm like, yeah, credit is nice, but when I go to my bakery and I ask for bread, I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm gonna have your sandwich for free and then I'll credit you. I'll say out loud, this is a great sandwich. Credits don't pay bills, so people have to understand that it's credit is mandatory whether you pay or you don't pay. But if people don't pay for the images that they use, then we can't buy our equipment that is super expensive. We don't travel. We don't pay for hotels, for airplanes. It doesn't work. It's and you're right. People don't know. They just don't do it genuinely. There are a few cases where they keep repeating it. Then we're not as nice anymore. But most of the time, we just first of all explain what is wrong and what people can do and can't do. But it's it's sometimes a bit frustrating and annoying to repeat the same things over and over.
Yeah, we're finding that a lot, especially in the last 12 months. Like a lot of our work, not necessarily only photography work, but then like in terms of like graphics
videos
work.
And
yeah. So people have just literally taken it and then cut it down, removed any kind of logos or like that is recognizable to us, and then they republish that straight away. I think on social media, luckily, social media platforms are quite strict on this, depending on the country, of course. And then also because if you're not in the same country, it's also quite difficult to actually be able to get in contact or also tell them or chase up anything. So it is a challenge from that side. But with the AI nowadays, people take our assets, put it into AI engines, convert that, and then like removes logos and words, and then repost it straight away. And we go, wow, okay. It's a good tool, but it's also a scary tool for a lot of creators and companies.
But also mean that they are aware that they shouldn't be doing it. So when I come across people that do that, I'm not so friendly anymore. I'm like, you knew that you couldn't be using it with the logo, so you either cut it off or you use the tool to remove it. That means that you knew
sneaky
that so then we invoice.
Yeah. So in terms of invoicing, do you then just go straight to a lawyer and then just go, hey?
No, we don't do that. Unless it's happened a few times with brands that have repeatedly using our pictures and we've told them not to, and then they kept on doing it. So at the end of the day, we hired a lawyer, but we try to avoid that. I know a lot of people are passionate and they use the photos because they want the sport to grow, and then it's most of the time non-profit. I just tell them, just don't do it. Otherwise we won't be able, either us or you or other photographers, if people use it for free all the time. Yeah, we won't exist anymore. You'll have photos all over, and then you will complain because you don't have professional ones. So I'm trying to be more of a educational, and let people understand why they shouldn't be doing it, and it works most of the time.
Yeah, and you know what? We will take this next 2 minutes to educate people about the investment that's actually required to have one of the photographers out there. And then so I think you can try and correct my numbers if they're not wrong. So for us internally, for one of our team to travel to a tournament for a week, in terms of just travel and accommodation, obviously in terms of accommodation, we're not staying. We don't often stay in the official hotels because they're nice, they're good for the players, they're good for the teams. But in terms of cost wise, they're just not friendly to us in that sense. So for a flight, say for example, if we head out to a Far East tournament that is not based in Europe, I mean, even in nowadays Europe, for me, I'm based in UK, fly to Frankfurt is £500. I'm like, what is going on? But in terms of a week for one person to be out there, you're always looking at around $2,500-3,000 to $5,000, depending on how far they're going. And this is before anything else. So this is just travel for flight tickets and transfers, and also accommodations and hotels. $2,500 to $5,000, depending on where they go. Say if you're flying, say into Denmark, accommodation will be very expensive. Scandinavian countries. But then obviously if you're say in Indonesia, it will be a lot cheaper. But $2,500 to $5,000 is probably the right one. And then you have the equipment. So each of your photographers probably have 1 to 2 camera bodies minimum. And the camera bodies that you're using, I know that you guys are Canon, so you use Canon R1s and R3s. Those, each of them are about $6,000 to $7,000 just for the camera bodies, right? And then you have your lenses. So you have your ultra wides and primes all the way go up to your 400. I see you have a 400. Yeah. So a 400mm lens is that 2.8? That's like
2.8.
Yeah, that's like a $13,000 lens, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So
I think is expensive. That's what I'm saying. If people want to have nice pictures and not pay for it, then there's a problem. The balance,
the business model don't work. Yeah. So when one of your guys or you show up, you're already carrying like $25,000 dollars or euros worth of equipment, and then you spend the whole week there. And if you're getting nothing out of it and people are just taking that, it's difficult to explain to people the amount of investment and also skill that you've built up to develop this. Again, similar to what you're saying, you go to your baker has spent years training to produce this nice loaf of bread, and you go, I'll pay you with crediting online.
No, that's true. And people don't realize that. And when you actually compare it with something that's like a bakery or the butcher or whatever, people would never ask for credit. They want the money for their work, and it's like another comparison I do when we go to events and there are some photographers, local photographers, amateurs, or they're passionate about the sport, and then they take pictures and then they give the pictures to everyone. I'm happy for them to do that. I see their passion, but I'm like, what if you're a dentist? I'm asking them, what is your daily job? Okay, I'm a dentist. And then what if every week, just in front of your dentist store, there's one amateur dentist that comes here and they say, I love to look at teeth and I love to fix teeth, and I do it for free, just next to your store,
practice.
Your practice, yeah. And then they do every single week. There's a different one. They say, yeah, just do it once a year, 1 week, but I do it for free for everyone. And then the guy next to it, he's got his dentist practice, and then he sees the other dentist doing it for free, and you're like, something's wrong here. Of course, he doesn't mean harm, but that's how I feel sometimes with photographers who come here and give their images to everyone. And then, when the players or when the brands or when the media, they ask us, for a quote, and they're like, yeah, why should we pay? Because we have pictures for free from other photographers. And what can I say? We're the bad guys asking for money. So it's that's part of the game, because it's also nice to see that there's still some people that are super passionate, that they want to share their passion. But that's something that they should keep in mind, that they're actually taking the job out of the people who try to make a living out of it. We're okay because we are the official agency of the BWF, and we shouldn't complain. We have we have photographers everywhere, and we make a decent business out of it. But for some new photographers trying to make money out of the sport, and which is good. I think there should be new people coming in. When they see other people giving out their images for free to everyone, it doesn't work. You're spotting the market, and that's something to be considerate about.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think in all honesty, this is from my personal experience, I can see both sides of the story. But I think when they first start to come in, you're building a portfolio, you're building experience, you want people to like you and stuff like that. And I think that's why, giving out photos might be seen as like, okay, I'm just helping you out, whoever this person, player, media agency, whatever that is. And then, but once you get to a certain stage, like you said, it then becomes, you're affecting the market, because obviously but I guess the only differentiator is, quality, and the amount of quality and also the amount of quantity of work. For example, you guys are able to consistently produce images at this level. Otherwise, publications cannot use them, or it's not good enough to be used. And then so, unless the new person comes in and are able to produce at the same level, same quantity, and same consistency, I guess they also can't touch you guys from that perspective. No,
I don't know, but I think it's mostly the tool that make the difference in terms of quality of images. I think other photographers are doing just as fine, and we're very humble in the in the way we think of our quality compared to others. Now there are a lot of good photographers. The cameras are amazing. It's easier to produce good images, but it's just the way we edit, and then we tag, and then we put them, the availability for all the clients who can go on the platform, crop everything. I mean, the tools on that platform is quite unique. So that's that's the added value that we bring to the sport.
Yeah.
I think any photographer can come and produce as decent images as we do.
I think just to put it in a little bit more perspective to everybody, you're extremely humble about your platform and the work that your team is doing. Let me put it into a bit more perspective. Okay, a normal photographer comes in, so say a match day with a three court or 4 court hall. Day one, round one. You have, I would say, 40 to 60 matches to cover. Your team needs to cover almost every single one of these matches. And the matches include a minimum of 2 players. Say if you have 40 matches, that means you have minimum of 80 players. And obviously we have doubles as well. So you're looking at around 100 to 120 players. You need to have at least, what I would say, 5 to 10 good photos of each player that you need to cover for that day. And to post-process 5 to 10 players, you probably shoot 100 to produce 10 is actually a really high hit rate.
Yeah.
It's a high hit rate. 10% is a very high hit rate. From my experience, I do probably 1%. 1% is
we do too. 1 to 3% is
1 to 3% is a good number. And so you're shooting hundreds of photos to try and pick out that 5 or 10, and then you need to do that for 100 players. I think people don't realize the amount of work that you guys actually put in at this level consistently day after day. That's day one. Come and rinse and repeat for day 2. And then and also at the same time, because you're working as a wire agency, your photos are up as in online, uploaded, post-processed within the next 90 minutes of the match is finished. I don't know what the internal process standards is. Is it like 1 hour or is it 90 minutes? I don't know.
It depends on the stage. For early stage, it can be sometimes it's 10 minutes after the match because this is when we stopped shooting and then we go and edit. Now, most of the time there are 2 photographers because, like you said, the workload is it's just
too
crazy.
much.
So we invested in and wanted more photographers to work also with the agency for the training purposes and everything. So we rotate. That means that one photographer will shoot and then edit, send, while the other is covering the matches. But most of the time, 1 hour after the match is the average standard. And for finals, semifinals and finals, it's 10 minutes after. We try to send it as quick as possible. When the podium is finished, we just go straight send, and then 5 to 10 minutes, the pictures are online.
Yep. And I think people don't realize that the 5 to 10 minutes after the event, it's near live. And it's incredibly challenging to get those up.
It's a rush. Well, that's the difference between freelance photographers. They go, they chat, they say, "Oh, this is a great match," and we're like sweating and everything, and we rush to our computers and then upload and then look for these 3 or 4 pictures that tell the story. The podium pictures, we send these first, and then
the whole world needs that.
But exactly.
Because the whole world needs that.
And now people have become so impatient. The players, most of the players, they ask us, "Where are my pictures?" Only 2-3 minutes after the match. Sometimes we're like, "Hey, hold on, I'm still by side court. We just finished." And you'd be amazed by the number of top players who just go on the wire right after they leave their match. They're like, I see them on their phone checking in the wire. I'm like, no, I'm still here. I haven't sent the picture yet. Hold on. Everybody wants everything to be fast. There's no patience anymore. So we try to match that. But of course, sometimes it's challenging. Internet is sometimes not as fast as we hoped, even though it's gotten better. But it's a rush, and we work on adrenaline most of the time because it's we run to the courts and back, and so we keep fit.
Absolutely. And then so tell me about that. So obviously you said that you have 15 freelancers on your team right now, right? So I also want to take a quick moment to talk about one of your photographers leaving you. Not in the way that you would like them.
We so we can pay tribute to Mac, who's a photographer who's been working for 10 years with us as a freelance. So he did 2-3 events a year, but more recently he worked a bit more for us. And of course, it's devastating news to hear someone who's so nice and dedicated and hardworking and willing to please everyone. He was taking pictures of everyone because he wanted to put the others in the limelight. So it was super sad for me to hear his passing, and our thoughts are with his family and friends, and he will remain one of the great photographers of the agency, and we'll work on a tribute with all these images, and we'll post something online soon. But yeah.
Yeah, I think so. For me, Mark obviously is based in Hong Kong. I certainly recognize it because of the lower left corner credit, like the photographer's name. So in terms of your photos, they from the agency, they tend to have like Badminton Photo, shot by who, and then credit that way, which I think is a very lovely touch. It also reinforces who these very skilled photographers are in terms of like globally, like who are they? And then I recognize that name straight away. And last weekend I saw that and I go, okay. And then obviously you then told me about it. Which is sad. But I guess we will have to appreciate like what we have at this point in time too.
Yes, life is fragile, and there's always a reminder of this, and he will go down as one of the great photographers. His images were full of humanity, and like I said, he was an amazing guy. So
Yeah. Wow. And so do you have people, so obviously Mark has worked with you for 10 years, and you have the team that's worked with you since day one till now. So that was what,
2004 was when the agency was started officially. Okay. And then immediately we worked with the BWF. Johan and Yves are the two who were there, at the time already. And Johan was just 17 or 18 years old, just a very, very young photographer, and he's become one of the best of the agency, and he works with me in the office here. And then, some people have worked with us for 10 years, and it's great because even though they are freelancers, they're part of the Badminton Photo family. And some others are just doing one stint a year, one tournament or two tournaments a year, but they're part of us. They follow a process which is a very it's a lot of things to take in. I mean, the processing, because the platform is so precise that we are sometimes a pain in the butt of photographers, because we ask them to be very precise in the renaming, in the editing, in the tagging and everything. But this is, if you make one mistake, it's like in any computer world, you can't use it. If you forget one letter in the player's name, when you tag it, it goes on the platform with the not the proper name, and then the clients can't find it, so your pictures it cannot be used. So we have to be super precise, and now the photographers know that we are a bit of a sometimes not so nice in the way we handle these little details, but it's either that or
crucial.
the work is it's like they're not taking the pictures, so it has to be super precise.
Yeah, no, my background's in engineering, so I understand and appreciate the need to be accurate, because obviously, like you said, if the clients can't find it, then as a business,
then
you're not delivering to your clients, and
exactly.
So like, that angle is incredibly important. But I also see that how difficult it is for creative people to be incredibly detailed and incredibly accurate. I think it's two completely different things.
I agree.
And then, creative people are really fluid, and their brains think in very, very different ways to, say, engineers who like straight lines and squares, so it's just a very different way of working with people, and I've certainly come across that many times, and so it's a nice learning experience. It's a challenge,
and also even if you're aware of all this on day one because you're nice and fresh, and then by the time it gets to day 5 or 6, or you've worked 12 hours a day for a week, you're like, you're making mistakes because there's no way around it. We're humans, and we do make mistakes. So someone has to correct them, and that's Yves. And he's the one.
Yves is going to tap on your shoulder and go, "Hey."
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or scold me, say, once again you've done this mistake, and I'm like, sorry.
I want to quickly move on to some of the other projects, because I want us to end on Solibad later on, but let me quickly touch on Badzine as well. So Badzine, Badzine is a badminton magazine, online magazine that you started. Obviously, I was aware of the French version, the English version, and I'm also aware of the German version. Do you still operate all three?
No, German version is separate. It's independent. It's under the Badzine banner. And I've talked to Manuel Rosler when we started it and how I wanted to make sure that the editorial was right in a journalistic point of view. And I think they're doing quite well in Germany. There's an Indian Facebook page also, which basically delivers basic news about Indian badminton, which is also progressing. But the whole idea, and it's all volunteers, the whole idea when we started it in 2001 was to be able to bring, badminton news to the world, and mostly in France now. It's getting bigger and bigger in France, still with volunteers. But it's all about sharing our passion for the sport and doing it in a way that is maybe not so institutional, more of a friendly, easygoing, informal way. But I'm happy to be able to also keep talking to the players through this channel, because as a photographer, you interact with people, but it's not as in-depth as what you would do as a reporter. Having two hats with the Badzine one is also something that I find interesting and rewarding.
Yeah. So because this is all fully voluntary, how do you financially sustain these platforms? Because obviously, like in terms of hostings,
it
domains,
costs money.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how do you fundraise to sustain them?
For Badzine, there's no fundraising. No, we just I just pay for the platform, and then that's it. That's
wow.
When you're passionate, I get things out of it. I'm happy, and I see a lot of people that read the articles, and somehow we can also voice opinions of the people who might not have other platforms to do so, or. And it's an interaction with the community that I find super interesting. And I believe, as a photographer, as a reporter, that we need to not leave a legacy, because this is gone. Once the article is read, people will forget it. But it's also a way to help raise the sport in a different way, in a different manner. So I feel it's worth the time, the energy, and the money that we spent. And I'm not complaining at all, but it's my choice, and it's the choice of the other reporters who work for Badzine, and I think it's a win-win situation. Our readers enjoy our articles, and we enjoy writing them. So it's all good.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Okay, so Badzine. And then I want to also move on to another. So you're a serial entrepreneur, serial businessman, because you have another photo agency. It's called the New Images Photo Agency, and that is not sport specific, unlike Badminton Photo. So how does that work? Does that work exactly the same like Badminton Photo in terms of operationally, but the events you cover are significantly different?
We use the same platform because we've worked so hard on it. So we will offer, and we start offering other sports this platform, and there are some interest, of course, because it's quite unique and very tailor-made for racket sports or other sports where people can just log in, find whatever they need. But also we try to go into the corporate world. The idea is it's a photography agency with a mission, so-called, once again, in a very humble way. But we believe that image can make a change. When we talk, and it's the same in French as in English, you talk about your own image. What is your own image? The reflection about yourself. And photography can help people actually be more confident and help people get a better image out of themselves, because we don't see ourselves. We picture ourselves, but we don't see ourselves. So helping in the corporate world, collaborators to have a better opinion about themselves. And we work also with NGOs, where we work with children or people with disabilities and help them have a better image about themselves, or people who are after coming back from long-term diseases and like cancer and stuff like that. The image they have of themselves is crucial to their ability to recover, because the mindset is also crucial, and photography can help in that matter. So we believe that we can make a difference through image, and in the corporate world we do team building through photography. And we've seen it, and it's great because people interact. We teach people how to take pictures of others, but then
okay, so it's an activity.
It's an activity.
Nice.
That's part of the agency, and you see the relationship between the people the person who takes the photo towards the person who's posing, they interact in a nice way because they want the picture, the people to look nice. So they actually give compliments. And then the interaction is changing because of this. And then suddenly you see collaborators that are saying nice things to each other, which is not always the case in environment where you need to produce, you need to be, on focusing
intense
on your work.
Environments. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, the feedback from the people who were so happy, because that's the purpose of this activity, is that they started talking in a nice way and interacting and bonding through photography on top of making nice photos. So the people after the day, they have nice photos of themselves, but have also learned how to interact in a different way, in a more human way towards their colleagues. So I think it's an interesting concept that we'll try to develop through this.
And it's a win-win-win as well. It's
exactly.
It's not just 2 wins. Actually, it's 3 wins in one go. So this is really a good activity to actually promote photography with as well. And also, I think it also showcases the skill that's required to be able to take good photos.
Also.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's absolutely amazing. And then just talking about work. Okay, so besides these two agencies, any other businesses that you have that we can actually tell the world about the work that you're doing?
I do. I'm still a reporter, so I do write for other magazines and stuff. But yeah, long story. But let's skip to badminton.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. And talking about NGOs, clearly your charity, the charity that you set up, Solibad, which is literally on a photo poster behind you, Solibad. It's exactly. Yeah. I think in the world of badminton, it has become quite iconic for Solibad. I think the work you've put in over the last decade and a half for Solibad with your team as well has been. We see that. I see it globally, all around the world. I think in terms of the activities and the investments that you've put in, the amount of energy, passion, love, and also financial input that has gone into Solibad to allow kids who probably never even heard of badminton to be able to try badminton. Yeah, exactly.
That's the case of this kid here.
Yeah, and so I mean. Tell us a little bit more about Solibad. I know about Solibad, but the rest of us needs to learn a bit about it as well.
It's a bit of a crazy idea because when we started it, a lot of people would say, okay, badminton and solidarity, yeah, why not? But how? I mean, getting kids to play sport is one thing, but we thought of an idea that would go just beyond that, and we want to make a change in kids' lives through badminton, and taking badminton as an excuse. It could be any other sport actually, but this sport is really, really special and really amazing to do what we've achieved to do. And once again, I'm talking about but the true heroes are really the people on site who are taking care of the programs that we sponsor and we help. But it's all about making a difference through sport and through badminton, because like this kid, he's born and raised in a village in Uganda where there's no water, no electricity. There's nothing basically. They go around in their daily lives, and then I brought a badminton kit in the village, and they were like first holding it like a musical instrument. So they say, oh, the sound is not great, so what's the purpose? Of course they have no electricity, so they have no TV, they've never seen tennis, they've never seen a racket in their lives. And then we showed them, I was with a young doctor, a young colleague, and we showed them how to play, and they were like, oh, okay, this is crazy. So from early in the mornings to late at night when the sun would set, they would play and they would become very good. And this kid especially, that's one of the first photos I took, and within minutes he could hit the shuttle and enjoy himself. And this is how we realized that it's so easy to get the kids, and boys and girls, that's also something that is great, that it's a mixed sport. They can pick it up and not only enjoy it and get fitter through this, but also build up their confidence, because within minutes they're showing progress. and they're getting good at it within hours or days. And then it's an easy way for us to say, you are super good at something. And in this environment that we work in, compliments and valorization just don't exist. The kids, they're here to help their parents, and they're focused on what they need to do, but nobody ever tells them that they're good at something and they're worth something. And this sport, because of their ability to progress quickly and to have fun at the same time, it's an amazing tool to make them believe that they're worth something. And it's a very, very high value for a kid to grow up with someone, an educator or a third party outside the family, to tell them, what you're doing is great. And then once we build up a community around the sport, we help them do something else. And that's the whole purpose of raising funds, is try to help kids, study, get an education, go to university, have food sometimes, or all the programs are very different one to the other. But every time we think of the kids first and how we can help them on their daily lives.
Things we take for granted that we normally have.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, so I've been privileged enough and lucky enough that you brought me on one of your trips to Indonesia. So when we were at Indonesia Open, is that last year? I think it was last year. Yep. So I managed to travel with you along with Thomas and Christo Popov. With Boris as well. With Boris. So the three Popov brothers. Yeah. So they we were visiting the village of Bekasi, which was built on the landfill. So I think for people who've not been able to imagine that, try Googling some photos of a landfill, imagining a village that's built on top of the landfill, and that's actually how they can find economic value. That's how desperate it is for me in that situation. And I think it's just really eye-opening. I think without being there in person, it's very hard and very difficult to imagine this. But then once you're there, the perspective hits you. I think for them, surviving is number one. Whereas for us, I think trying to excel at something is number one. But for them, surviving is number one. And then having that ability to release them from their from the intensity of just trying to survive every day, and enjoy a sport which we love, called badminton, for a few hours with world-class players. You can see how the kids are actually reacting to those. And like you said, they've never been given affirmations. They've never been told that, they were good at something. And now there's a structure there to allow them to consistently enjoy this sport. And so hence, I think that's a huge well done, Raphael, on that part, because Indonesia is just one of the projects that you run. I believe, I think there's more than a dozen of them globally.
Yeah, there's about 10. Yeah, but Indonesia is the biggest one. And this is one of the programs where you actually can see the difference between the kids who are in the landfill, who basically live with their parents and recycle all day. Most of them do not go to school. And those who are part of the team wearing the yellow jersey with the Solibad and Bintang Kidul, who are our partner association and who are doing a great job actually handling everything. We just help them out. But you see the difference between the kids in the program and those who are not, because, they don't lack vitamins anymore because we look after this. The families who are part of the programs, they help each other. There was a huge fire 2 years ago, and maybe a third of the village was gone. And then the families of the programs actually hosted the others. They helped each other. Whereas other families, it's, they do things on their own and they don't really care about each other. But the community and the solidarity we've built through the program also was really important and impactful for the families. And then amongst the kids that are in the program, some of them are being taken out of the landfill, and then we provide them with scholarships to go to Yogyakarta, another city, together with the Bintang Kidul, and they're trained as other things. So there's a chef, there's actually 2 lawyers now. Can you imagine 2 kids from the landfills becoming lawyers? They didn't even know what a lawyer was when they started that. Yeah, there are success stories. 2 of them are coaches in Canada, in professional teams. So it's not only about bringing the sport to these these kids, but it's also widening their horizons and making them dream big and being able to have a normal life, which is when you see the conditions they live in is almost impossible.
Yeah, I I can't remember. I think it was I think I can't remember if it's Crystal or Tamar that I spoke with on the way back from the site, like in the van. We talked about we were wearing white shoes. They had no shoes.
Yeah, they have no shoes.
And like we had shoes, but then like our shoes were like white, and they were like, yeah, they have no shoes. And so it really puts it in perspective. I think if you've not seen this in person, you really can't relate to the lifestyle and also the challenges that they have to go through every day. But in wanting to celebrate another success story at the Indonesia Open, you had one of the kids who actually learned how to shoot photography, and he's now a photographer and graduated
for the agency,
into a photographer for the agency. And so, I mean, talk a little bit about that as well, because I remember meeting him at Editorial twice, and then also meeting him again at the Paris World Championships, correct?
The World Championships, we had a scholarship with the IIPS, who funded his trip to Paris, and he lives actually still in the landfill with his family. So he decided to pick up photography in university, and then he's good at it, and of course he had no camera because he had no money, so we helped him with that and trained him, and now he's working with us on a freelance basis, and it's amazing to see this kid that I met when he was 10 years old and like any kid in landfills, with big dreams, but knowing that nothing will happen because nothing ever happens in these places. And we were like, have dreams because, things can happen. And if you work hard, then you deserve to have the same chance as other people. And now he has the chance. And I'm super happy that we gave him the chance because he delivers and his pictures are great. And, he was so proud to come at the World Championships and see some of his work with his name under the logo of Badminton Photo go everywhere around the world. And you're like, this is just for this kid, Krishna, it's worth all the energy, the time that we spend. And there are a lot of other success stories, but it's related to photography. So, of course, it's very special to me.
Yeah. So, okay, tell everybody, how can people help? Or if they decide to choose, though?
Of course, they can. There's so many ways to help, and we're happy for people to do whatever they want to help others. I think that's something that we should all do at some point. But in order to help Solibad, you can join us as a volunteer if you're part of a badminton club, or even if you don't. But there are ways that you can do with badminton clubs, and maybe do fundraising once a year. For instance, we have what we call the Solibad Days, and it's coming up soon at the end of April, from 10 days, 18th to 26th of April. And we ask all the people that want to help the community to come up with crazy ideas, original ideas to do a bit of a fundraising. It can be a fun tournament, disguise tournament, or night tournament, or something. Go play air badminton in an iconic place and ask people to donate €1 or €2 or US dollars, just to participate in the worldwide Solibad Days. That would be amazing. And then clubs can do things on a regular basis, just wear our logos on their shirts, and of course we've working with federations. The French Federation has been supportive since day one, and you can see our Solibad logo on the shirts of the players. Badminton England has recently signed the charter, and we're working with them. You can also get involved with the local actions. We in France work with foster homes. And when I was talking to you about how badminton can make a difference in kids' lives, it doesn't have to be on the other side of the planet. We have foster homes where kids have gone through traumas, violence, families with drug addictions and problems. And we ask, or we try to target 1 or 2 kids in these foster homes, and we bring them to a badminton club, and we focus on them, to bring and work on their self-esteem and self-confidence. And this has made a huge change in their lives. And they've changed their behavior completely. They're better at school, even for 1 or 2 hours a week. we've made a huge change in these kids' lives, and it's just next door. I mean, there are foster homes everywhere. So if you're part of a club and you say, I like badminton and I want badminton to be a tool to do something better or different, this is something that we can do together. You can just reach out for us, and then we work together on how to make it happen. And it's simple, having a kid in a badminton hall for 1 hour or 2 hours a week under a club is something that's quite easy to do, and you're changing lives in your own way.
It makes an impact, isn't it?
Like, it does. It's
every little helps as well. Every little bit helps. So yeah. I mean, so if I do get the opportunity to go back to Bekasi again, I think I would want to record their experience, because I think the first time we went, I had no idea what to even think about. And if we do get the opportunity to go back again, I would love to be able to record it and also kind of share that perspective. I think because for me, I think about it all the time. Actually, I think about the time that I was there. And I think it's just a different world that we've not, like I couldn't imagine from that perspective. Imagine. And so, I feel, grateful for that opportunity as well. But then also it was life changing. Like I think about that all the time, because it's not something people think about, and also be able to relate to. It was so far apart from what I imagined, and it was a lot worse. And so hence, and then that conversation about, we had shoes, they didn't. You go, God, like you see it in pictures, but until you're there in person, it hits you. It hits you. So hence, I think something like this, and obviously in terms of my work, so like obviously in terms of like podcasting and stuff like that, we try and highlight it and also promote the importance of trying to help others, obviously through our shared love for badminton and also photography. And then so hence, this is something that like I want to try and contribute as much as I can in terms of time and also whatever money that we can raise. It is perfect.
Great, and thank you for your help.
Okay. No. I mean, thank you, Raphael. I think we've gone on the clock here. It's 71 minutes already, so an hour and plus.
Sorry, I'm a chatterbox.
No. No. I think it's also funny because I think we have met quite a few years now. I think on the tour at a few tournaments we've managed to have coffees once or twice. But then it's also really good to be able to have 1 hour long chat sessions, because during tournaments it's almost impossible to try and find time to actually squeeze out and do that. Like you said, you're on court and people want photos in 3 minutes after the shuttle dropped whilst you're still at the podium, right? So
no time.
So it is quite difficult. But I think the impact that Badminton Photo has on the world of badminton in terms of promotion, in terms of ability to show the improvements, like you said, that has carried through over the last 2 decades, I guess, from that perspective. And it's also very incredible to hear the stories that the OGs like Yves, like Johan, that they're still with you to this date. And then obviously we see them on the tour whenever we get to go. Do you have one last message for anybody who wants to try and perhaps, develop a photography career, hopefully one day works for your agency?
Go for it. I started an agency with a zero photography skill, so I'm just a human proof that you can do anything. Just dream big and go for what you want. Yeah, see, no, that's true. And photography is one of the jobs that you can do and learn from scratch, because you actually see what you're producing on the camera, so you can learn quite quickly. And go for a niche, something you like, something you're passionate about, and just go for it. It's true for building your own business, but it's true for anything in life. Don't settle for anything less than what you dream about, I would say, and don't set yourself limits. And the young generation is better at that. I think that what we were, because we had boundaries in our minds. I think we had people telling us that we will not succeed because it's too hard, because it's too this and that. And I believe we're able to do anything we want as long as you put the effort, the time, and the passion and the love, and that works.
I mean, growing up in an Asian culture, you're always told what you can and cannot do. So I relate to that a lot. You know, like, I mean, I've been lucky that my mum and dad did not put restrictions on us. But then obviously within the culture, it's normal. Like, it's normal to be told you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that. And then I agree. Like, you know, think big. And then whilst photography is not my main line of work, but I still want to practice it because there's still a long way to go. But I think, like you said, the equipment now helps a lot. I think it easier to get better photos, but at the same time you need to invest that love and also that dedication into that as well,
the time and the work. There's no
there's no shortcuts.
No magic. There's no magic.
There's no shortcuts.
All about work.
No, thank you so much, Raphael. Like, it's been very inspiring to hear, you know, the journey that you've taken to build the businesses and the success you've had, and also the very very inspiring story about Solibad as well. I you know, like, let's try and get more people to be aware of Solibad and see how they can help.
Yes, thank you for that.
I look forward to seeing you in the next few weeks, actually. So next week should be busy.
All England.
Then,
yes.
Yeah, it's the big one. It's the big one. Well, the last All England before it becomes 11 days. So yeah. You're going to have to pay for more hotels, aren't you?
Oh my. I was in a good mood now.
Yeah. Or, I mean, on the other side, your air miles should be very, very good.
It's getting there, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. No, thank you so much, Raphael, for your time.
Thank you, CK.
And also for the love that you've put into badminton. I look forward to seeing you in the next few weeks.
Same here.
Thank you. And then we'll see you soon. Thank you.
See
Ciao.
you.
Bye,
CK. Bye. Can you imagine the two kids from the landfields becoming lawyers? They didn't even know what a lawyer was when we started. Amongst the kids that are in the program, some of them are being taken out of the landfill, and then we provide them with scholarships. They're trained as other things. So there's a chef, there's actually 2 lawyers now. 2 of them are coaches in Canada in professional teams. So it's not only about bringing the sport to these kids, but it's also widening their horizons and making them dream big and being able to have a normal life.
You had one of the kids who actually learned how to shoot photography, and he's now a photographer and graduated into a photographer for the agency.
Yeah. He lives actually still in the landfill with his family. So he decided to pick up photography in university, and of course he had no camera because he had no money. So we helped him with that and trained him, and now he's working with us on a freelance basis. It's amazing to see this kid that I met when he was 10 years old, and like any kid in landfills, with big dreams, but knowing that nothing will happen because nothing ever happens in these places. I'm super happy that we gave him the chance because he delivers and his pictures are great. And, he was so proud to come at the World Championships and see some of his work with his name on the logo of Badminton Photo go everywhere around the world.